Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I'm joined by my buddy Myron.
Hey, folks. Glad you tuned in again this week. We've got a show with a lot of words today.
I got a feeling it's enough words it's going to fill the next hour or so, which is kind of what we normally do.
Yep.
Seems to be a pattern we try to do from week in, week out. We try not to keep you past an hour because, man, I don't think our wives can handle us more than an hour, so we don't really ask much of, our fans to do it either.
Yep, just make it about the same time.
Yep. Well, let's jump right into this week because I know this week, as my wife, it's going to be a crazy show. When I was kind of talking it over, and I just said something to my wife about it, and she said, "Are you sure you really want to say that? That's really going to crap on." She goes, "Is that crapping on your fan base?" And I'm like, "I don't think so. Do you?" She goes, "Kinda." So let's get to crapping, right? Let's get.
No, I already had that problem today.
Yeah, I didn't think it was really crapping on anybody. So let's see what the fans think. And I mean, and I hope they don't, because I'm not.
I don't think it's negative. I think it's just there's some stuff that's just out of control right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, let's start positive. Can we do that?
Okay.
All right. I got some positive notes. I want to be super positive. All in, some of the statistics have come in, over the last week. I just wanted to congratulate Cody, the Young Bucks, and all those involved. Let's start with 0 Hour, the free pre-show on WGN, 196,000 viewers. I'm gonna stay positive. I'm gonna walk away from that because I was totally negative about it on a couple things, but I won't because it's cool. It was a one-shot deal, 196,000. Kudos to those guys. Then super kudos to those guys. They ended up doing a gate of 11,263 people for a whopping $458,525.
That's a gate.
That's a gate.
That's a really good gate.
I'll tell you this, and I just happened to be listening today before we recorded. I listened to 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff. They were covering a fall brawl. I believe it was 98, maybe. This actually beat that gate.
Wow.
So
back when wrestling was hot, or what do they call it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was in its heyday. It was in the Monday Night Wars in the heyday. It was. Here's the crazy thing: smaller crowd at All In, bigger gate.
Well, that's what you keep hearing, and Conrad focused on this. There are fewer wrestling fans, but they're willing to spend more money, and he's right.
Oh yeah. And then on top of that, by the way, the Fight app, which, hey, by the way, we're an affiliate for the Fight app. Kudos to those guys.
Yes. Great
week. And we told everybody, use our link, man. You could have signed up, installed, and you still can. This is the crazy thing about the Fight app. If you haven't seen All In yet, you haven't seen StarCast yet, and you still want to, go find our link. It's on our webpage at tappedoutpod.com. Use the link and sign up, install it, get all set, everything, and then you can purchase all that stuff. You can still see that stuff and then have it forever. And I believe, I heard Conrad say, I haven't looked yet but I believe they're saying now that some of the StarCast stuff, you can do a la carte.
Oh, that's cool.
So like if you want to see just the roast, I think he said it was like $4.99. You could watch the roast or something like that. There's so many events.
That's great.
Yeah. So check that out. Same thing. It's go to tappedoutpod.com on the website, sign up, install the app, boom, and then you, of course, go in and have a field day and get all kinds of tons of free product on top of it, but definitely get All In, StarCast, and check that out. Well,
that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
They did a whopping $1 million. I mean, it was, over $1 million, I'm sure, but I'm just kind of saying they did $1 million for All In and StarCast purchases on the Fight app. That doesn't count. Think about it. That does not count the people that watched it on Honor Club and then the people that watched it on New Japan.
Or the people that just bought it from their cable provider.
Or that bought it on their pay. Yeah, just the Fight app. So that's, again, huge success. I mean, by no means, and anything I'm about to say going forward is not a knock on the product.
I like it this has happened. I really am happy about everybody. It's been a feel-good thing with Diamond Dallas Page. So yeah, I've been happy about what they've done and what they could accomplish. But you got it, man. It's it wasn't perfect.
Well, and that's kind of where I want to start. I've decided not to say the author of the article's name, just because, I read an article this week that basically said that they chalked up to the success of All In, it's saying they gave everyone what they wanted. They went in knowing what their fan base wanted, and they gave it was like a perfect card. They gave them everything they wanted. And all I could think of, I wrote down my show notes as I read this article, I went, did it, with a big question mark. Now, again, it was probably one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in years. I'm not saying that it wasn't.
Yeah, I had a real good time watching it. I thought everything I saw, now I have not finished it, and I also hadn't got to the spot. But I can look at stuff, if it doesn't interest me, and just blow it off. I don't think everybody can do that, and I think a lot of people just get a little more obsessed with, I don't know, what are you going with here?
Well, here's my thing. Everybody was like, oh, it was like this perfect thing, and, I think we discussed it a little bit last week. I mean, I had some issues with the card, and, spots here and there, and of course everybody, pointed out on Twitter's, you couldn't even criticize All In, or you got basically attacked because everybody was such, they were fanboying so much about it that if you even said one bad thing about, oh, I didn't really like this, it was just like, they came out of the woodwork and attacked you. And of course, my thing when I said, did they give everybody what they want? Maybe, who knows, but I don't think so. I mean, I don't like the whole penis skits. I'm not a huge Joey Ryan fan. I don't hate him. I don't particularly sit there and say, he's killing the business. I said this exact quote last week. I'm not saying Joey Ryan's killing the business, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying it's not for me. I'm not like Cornette to the extreme on beating up on it. I'm sure 300, 400, 500 people on a given night pay good money to see Joey Ryan do his thing. Kudos to him. And then if you really want me to take it, I mean, he even made a comment I read an interview that he recently did that said he had zero interest in being signed by the WWE. It's easy to say when I'm sure they're not knocking on your door every night. I mean, Joey Ryan's character's not coming to WWE. No. So it's easy to say I'm not interested because, and I get it. He's making a great living at his job. Doing what he does.
Yeah, he's done real good for himself. I've seen him talk about it, and I've heard numbers. And Joey Ryan does real good for himself. He's an independent wrestler, and he's big on the scene. People book him for shows. He's not a bad wrestler.
No, he's a good wrestler. That's my whole point. But
the whole dick gimmick is what he's limited himself to do. He's got backed himself in a corner with his gimmick, and it's funny at times. It's not, I wouldn't want to see it on every show, And the fact that they took this and put it on the biggest show for independent wrestling, I don't think it was necessary.
Well, they had, like I said, they followed up Hangman Page's brutal match, which, by the way, again, mentioned it before, interviewed Hangman Page, think he's a phenomenal athlete, think he's a phenomenal wrestler. That's just my opinion, and my opinion alone. But I thought the finish of that match was stupid. I didn't like the move, and I don't mean, maybe it's not stupid, maybe it's a bad choice of words. I think it's unsafe. So, maybe as not being a wrestler, I'm not right. Maybe it's safer than I think. Doesn't look like it. Again, another one of the things I knocked on the card. And then somebody asked me about it, and one of the biggest challenges to that thing that I got backlash for, every Bullet Club member won but Skrull. Marty Skrull's the only one that lost, right?
But to my knowledge, yes.
So did they really basically just put themselves over on a whole card? Kinda.
Dusty put himself over on the cards he booked.
Yeah, but my point was, and I say this with all due respect, because I don't think this, but the argument could be made, they shoved themselves down your throat.
Yeah. Yeah, because they put themselves over. Stephen Amell, technically not Bullet Club.
He's not, and that's why I said that, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, Skrull wasn't beating Okada because Okada's the best wrestler in the world. If he'd have won, people would have just rioted.
Yeah, but, if they say they're going to give everybody exactly what they wanted, they would have probably had a little bit more variation in that. But that's hard to say. I mean, how you book something, and these people some people don't even care about the booking. They just want to see these guys go out there and do their thing,
Yeah, and for all being said, by the way, I don't beat them up about the main event getting cut short, the card going long. I know Cody, made the statement about be careful, you're not robbing you're robbing from the other wrestlers. But apparently Skrull has come out and said that the Young Bucks said, don't worry about it. Just do your thing. They would take care of it in the main event. So if that's the case, okay, whatever. So the whole show apparently went long. It wasn't just Skrull and Okada that went long. I mean, and and again, I said this to somebody, they're like, oh my God, you're disrespecting. No, I'm not. That's a new first time like producers. That's Cody and them, they're running their first show and hitting time cues and stuff like that. That's why you have guys like Bruce Pritchard who did it for years and stuff that they run that. That's kind of what they do.
Yeah. Again, so, that's their thing.
Yeah. No knock on them. It happens. Shit happens. Whatever. But so the main event being cut short. Okay. I mean, but then why was, we both, the structure of the card, why was Cody not the main event? Well, it was obviously he could produce, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But that still, I thought maybe should have been the last match.
I would think it would have been the last, and that's just me. I would have thought that would have been the last match because that's the NWA title match, and that's the thing that you were trying to put over and make the NWA title so legitimate, but you didn't. You didn't do any favors for it by putting it on there.
Right. So, I mean, all that being said is, kind of to come back to the original point here was, this article that I read was All In was so great because it gave it gave the fans what they want. It gave the fans what they listen to the fan, and the WWE just doesn't listen to their fans. They just do whatever they want to do. They just kind of do their own thing.
You can't even compare the two statements.
Well, here's the funny part. My question, again, I read this article and in my notes, I wrote, should they? Because it said they don't listen, and I'm like, should they?
No, because the people doing the most talking are a limited group of their money. They base things on market research. They base things on merchandise sales, money, reactions, not just what some pud is saying on the internet. They don't listen to that stuff. It's not the way it works. Multi-million, billion-dollar company. They can't just base everything on okay, we're going to make all the decisions. Oh, what this guy said. Oh, this commentator or this wrestling journalist, which is in parentheses because, as you've said, it's not a real sport. So basically, you're a fiction critic, like a person who criticizes fiction books. Yeah. That's the closest thing you can compare it to, or a movie critic.
Movie critic. Let's go with that. Or TV critic.
So you're a movie critic. And so one or two people are expected to say, if they get 100 people in the audience, the one or two people that are talking the loudest are these people on the internet. The other 98 people are okay. They may not like all of it, but they're paying and watching it. And that's what they're going for.
Well, they're not just marketing to your diehard wrestling fan. It's a global company. And even recently, Stone Cold Steve Austin said in an interview, he prefers the NXT product. But because they focus on their fan base, it's a diehard wrestling fan base. Because, by the way, you kind of have to be a diehard fan because you got to pay for the network to watch NXT. Yeah. So the casual fan typically isn't watching
NXT. Not in your cable package.
Exactly. Whereas the WWE, they are kind of catering to everybody. It's the circus. They're trying to give you the clowns. They're giving you the strongmen. They're giving you the acrobatics, all the above. So yes, they are. They're catering to the casual fan, the diehard fan, the fringe fan, whatever you want to call it. So it's not like as focused as what a lot of people like to say.
Exactly.
Plus, it doesn't hurt that NXT's 1 hour a week.
Yeah, NXT's 1 hour a week. They put out a program at their target market, and it can be better. It can be very fan sensitive. They have the same people show up every week for the shows. The stars know the people. They see them in town. It's an easier thing to do. You know, they put on good matches, but they don't always give you the best storylines. Because typical wrestling fans may not be that storyline driven because we understand more things. But on the whole, if you're going to put out a program on the thing, you're going to have to make it close to, what do they call it, soap operas for men?
Yeah.
You got to do something. Yeah, you got to do something like that to draw people to watch it.
Well, we keep coming back to, and again, by the way, I want to point out subtly here that Impact Wrestling draws I think last week drew like 230-something thousand, 238,000 maybe. All in drew 196,000 for their free pre-show. Okay, WWE on a weekly basis draws 2.5-3 million people. Okay, the point to that is your diehard junkies that are watching Ring of Honor, New Japan on Access TV, that are watching Impact on Pop. And again, by no means am I disrespecting or knocking those people. Kudos. I think the wrestling business need those people because they're probably spending the most, like, per person. But to sustain a global company, you need the casual fan. Like we said, it's a kid. It's a mom. It's my daughter who watches Total Bellas and Total Divas and who could really care less about wrestling, except when the Bellas or, when somebody
it's
like
a reality TV show to her.
Yeah. The danger we have to ask ourselves, are wrestling fans, when I mean diehard, internet-seeking wrestling fans, are you becoming the college football fan you hate the most? And what I mean by that is, do you sit around constantly, my team should be champion. My team should be played on the big game every week because we're the best champion.
Everybody should like my team.
Yeah. Are you delusional week in and week out that, like, my guy, and the example I want to use, again, I appreciate the talent. I do. But I made the joke of Finn Balor is the Oregon football team. When I say the Oregon football team.
Yeah.
Of pro wrestling.
Exactly.
Flashy. Looks great. Yeah. I mean, everybody loves them. Dude, they're fun to watch.
Entrances.
Yeah, there's just a lot to love about the team, but when they play Bama, they get smashed. And that's kind of my issue when, people talk about Finn Balor should be the world champion. If I look at Braun Strowman on one side of the ring and I look at Finn Balor on the other side of the ring, I'm an old school, don't get me wrong, I'm an old school Southern SEC fan. Braun Strowman is old school smash football, and he's going to be a solid defense who's going to crush Finn Balor on a weekend. Now, can Finn Balor get lucky and beat him, a game or two out of 10? Maybe. But Braun Strowman's right. Braun Strowman is your champion.
And I mean, they put on decent matches, but it's not believable to think that he would win. Okay? Just not believable to think Finn Balor could beat him on a regular basis. The strength difference. Okay? The size and weight difference. If you present it like a legitimate contest where people think it's going to be a fight, people get more passionately involved in that kind of thing. So I just think it's...
Well, isn't it Cornette that says the joke of the character should be believable?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say this because I'd piss a lot of people off. I'm not even going to say his name. There's somebody that everybody's in love with that I'm just kind of like, I don't see it. I don't get it. and I'm going to leave it alone because So anyway, I'm not going to touch it. But
I get the same feeling.
Yeah.
Yes, they need to look like it's a legitimate competitor,
right?
Like it would be a match, like Finn Balor versus Cedric Alexander. Perfect match.
Yeah,
Finn Balor versus.
Do you know what we call that match? Do you know what we call Finn Balor versus Cedric Alexander?
205 Live.
Well, no, it's Oregon versus. Let's call it Oregon versus USC.
Good point.
It's flashy, blah 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 blah, and that's kind of my thing. Is just don't become delusional like the college football fan, because college football just started a. Trust me, we both root for this team. We're huge Georgia fans.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard to swallow week in and week out, in years past, them getting beat. I mean, we think now hey, we got a shot. We got we might be the real deal. But don't be the delusional fan. You hate that guy. It drives you bonkers that guy that roots on a team that that's not going to be there, but he's just they're entitled. They should be there every year. And they're not that good. That's you with some of your, that's some fans. I shouldn't say you. That's some fans with some wrestlers. My guy should be champion. My guy, but we off air, we were talking and it was funny because I said, Conrad Thompson would appreciate this analogy now that I actually think, literally that popped in my head just now. Ric Flair in his heyday was Alabama. He would lose from time to time, but somehow he would still manage to get his title shot, and he would still win by hook or by crook, and would still be your champion.
Yep.
Ric Flair's Alabama.
Something. It'd be a surprise. It'd be a kickoff return or something.
Yeah.
Basically, the wrestling equivalent of a kickoff return, or the wrestling equivalent of just a Hail Mary pass, or a fumble.
So does that make Georgia Dusty Rhodes?
A lot like that. Could be.
Wasn't quite the champion, but he was our favorite.
Yeah, that's a real good analogy for me. I hope Mr. Schiavone could agree.
Yeah. Hey, let's do that. That's it. That's not. I mean, maybe it's a show. Maybe I'll call our buddy up. We were tweeting about this. Believe it or not, Mr. 495, the PWI 495, Humphrey Jacobs the first, and I were messaging back and forth about college football. And I kind of brought this up and said, that's a challenge. Give us 5. Give us 10 if you can come up with 10. Mm-hmm. DM us, at Tapped Out Pod on Twitter. Private message us or put it on our page, whatever, on Facebook at Tapped Out Pod. Email us at tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Your list of, we want you to compare wrestlers and college football programs and give us the why.
Some people hate college football. They're wrestling fans. I just haven't been a college football and a wrestling fan my entire life, and that's the two constant sports. But if it wasn't one, it was the other. Or at the best parts is when it's both.
That's
because I enjoy both.
That's because we grew up in the South, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got a point there. I grew up in a football-heavy family with a little bit of wrestling on my own, and my maternal grandmother, you could have told she was a fan back in the day, the way she talked. But she never would admit to it. Old women are sometimes.
Yeah. So send that in. That's a good challenge. Yeah,
definitely.
And one of the things that we were joking about how delusional they are, comes down simple to I saw another article, and it was maybe this week I just should not have read articles. Because it was article after article that rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah. And one of those to follow up on was, our friend, over the gorilla position, friend Ryan Bowman shared this article. He didn't write this article, by the way. But it was, basically saying the Bellas were bad for TV. And I'm sitting there going, no, they're not.
That they were going to take something away from the women's revolution.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Basically, that was the basic gist. I mean, think about it. They're like, all these women wrestlers have, no pun intended, evolved wrestling into all these credible athletes, whatever. Now the Bellas are going to come in and revert it back or something. And I'm like, that's totally missing the point, don't you think?
Well, that's like, when you bring back a big star to help you put a show over more. it's not perfect, but it draws eyes to that wouldn't be on it. Like when The Rock made that WrestleMania appearance, okay? My girlfriend could care less about wrestling. But when The Rock came on TV, it was like all eyes were on the product. That's the thing. It draws people in and makes them look at the product. And if they want to stay for the wrestling, or if they just come for the Bellas or they just come for the, what do you call it? They just come for the reality TV stuff and stay for, you know, Charlotte. But a lot of people can't tell you who Charlotte is. Many more people can tell you who Nikki Bella is because she's presented that way. She's out there. There's a huge audience for those programs.
Well, I just pointed out earlier that my daughter doesn't watch wrestling hardly at all anymore. But if the Bellas are on there, she will. Or if some of the girls from Total Divas are on there, she'll sit there and try to talk to me about Total Divas and Total Bellas and, you know, and blah, blah, blah. You know, we had a long conversation about Daniel Bryan's contract, which we're going to discuss later. But guess what? She didn't really care. The only reason she cared was because he's married to Brie Bella and she's on Total Divas. I mean, or, you know, in Total Bellas. That's why she cared.
Yeah. You know, Brie had those bad spots the other night. And, you know, we went over whose fault it was on that or talked about it on the last show. But she's been out of the ring forever. She had a baby. Give her some time. Come back. A year ago, Nikki was the most improved wrestler they had. Nikki was killing it. Looked like a legitimate, you know, people say, oh, they're not real wrestlers. She looked like a real wrestler and was performing at the top of her game before she took this last time off. And she's like John. Take some time off. They take time off. They come back. John comes back. No big deal. It's the same thing. She's not going to come back at her 100% best, but she's looking good. And I will guarantee you the match between Ronda and Nikki that they're planning for Evolution will be top end. That match will be phenomenal. Nikki knows what she's doing. She's got the best coach in the world. Well, no, she don't anymore. Damn.
No.
I keep forgetting her and John.
She does. Daniel Bryan trains her now.
Okay, well, she's got a great coach.
She's got an even better coach when it comes to wrestling, right?
She understands that for her it's about making money. It's not a performance. She's going to do what they tell her and take care of business the way they want her to do it.
Okay, but let's be blunt. That match doesn't have to be a spectacular, quote-unquote, 5-star match because that's not what that's not what that match is built for on that card. Yeah, that is 2. 1, no one is a more recognizable athlete in WWE than Ronda Rousey now.
Exactly. And
then 2, if you want to probably say Q ratings, I'm going to pull that one out of my ass, that I actually know what a Q rating is. When you just walk on the streets and show somebody pictures of wrestlers, I'm going to go with it probably Nikki and Brie Bella are probably the next tier.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Because it's not all about us. It's not all about what we see. It's not all about your hardcore wrestling. It's like, and we know these people, and we have to complain. Most people don't know what the fuck a booker is. Okay? And that wrestling's booked. They think, it's not real, but they don't know how it works. So they just want to watch entertainment. And for entertainment purposes, the WWE is a phenomenal way for your average person to get to see wrestling on TV anytime and be entertained. Me personally, I prefer indie shows. But not everybody can get to an indie show. People don't even know indie shows exist sometimes. But your average person, we'll go with our friend Frank's kid, eats that stuff up. He loves it. He is a passionate wrestling fan because he has watched the WWE product. And he's a wrestling fan for life now.
By the way, shout out to Blake. I got a text today. I was going to tell you about this. I was going to ask you off air about going to that show. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to say it. I'll leave it alone. Right. I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
It'll make more sense when I tell you off air. Sorry. I started to say it and I'm like,
you can't go break kayfabe now.
Yeah, I can't break kayfabe. I'm going to leave it alone. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, so let's go ahead and move on because, we went long on that segment. I knew we would, but, let's get into some meat of Daniel Bryan. We talked about it earlier. And it's going to fire me right back up. I already feel it because I already feel what I was going to say coming back.
Shoot, Nick. Shoot. It's a shoot interview.
Excuse me. That's how I got choked up. I was so fired up. So Daniel Bryan essentially does sign his new contract. Rumors are, I'm going to say that all out. These are rumors. And of course it comes from Meltzer and so forth and so on, that these rumors. Basically it's $1 million a year contract. It's 3 years with a 2-year option to tack on after 18 months if both parties agree. So essentially it could become a 5-year contract. Like I said, $1 million, is pretty much like the downside guarantee essentially.
Yeah.
But with bonuses, merch, and all that other stuff thrown in, probably, it's expected it's going to end up being around $2 million.
And he has a TV contract on top of it.
He does the little show, Total Bellas.
Yeah. He has, you said merchandise, which that's solid. I mean, he can sell merchandise.
Well, here's the beauty. We all talked about why was it taking so long. Remember, I don't know how long, maybe a month ago, I saw us going back and forth about, well, it's taking forever and why. And we talked about lawyers getting involved now. It's the first time he's ever had a lawyer look at his contract.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he's married and he got a kid. So one of those things was, it's 120 days that he's wrestling, 120 dates, I should raise. Could go up to like 150. But he makes about $8,000 when he goes over his number of days. So
per
date that he works. So, okay, that's cool. He's making some good coin there if he wrestles more. And then the part that kind of threw me is that, I read some article that basically said that, Daniel Bryan resigns and why it's the worst thing, they act like it was the worst thing he could possibly do. Was, and I think you said Bully Ray had said, I know deep down inside he wanted to be at All In. Okay, listen, folks, I hate to break this to you. If you're not married and you don't have any kids, you cannot put yourself in his situation. Period.
Yeah. So, people say, your whole life changes, or you're looking at it really does change. Trust me,
it does.
When you got a little kid that's dependent on you to eat, a brand new little kid at top, because once you get to teenagers, you just want to get them the hell out. But little kids, like a baby, changes your perspective when they are 100% dependent on you for everything. It really, I think it's changed his priorities.
Yeah, he didn't hire the lawyer for shits and giggles, right?
No.
I mean, he hired them because it's real simple, folks. Mm-hmm. He wanted to work less dates. Could he have made, first of all, everybody say, he could have made this money working, with Ring of Honor and New Japan. Yeah. And damn near killed himself probably, I'm not saying that it's safe in the WWE because everybody knows this business in general is at risk.
Yeah.
But his wife works there, folks. He's still going to get to see her week in and week out.
They have 120 dates divided by your average 5-day work week is 24 weeks. Your average person works
52 weeks.
Yeah. So it's a much better schedule.
I mean, if you take it real simple and you go, it's 52 weeks and he's working 120 dates, you do some math, brother. That's like 2 days a week.
Yeah.
He's going to go up to 150. So that's 3 days a week. Guess what that means? He ain't working house shows, folks.
No,
house shows ain't happening.
Kids.
He's working pay-per-views, and he's working SmackDowns, and he's maybe working a big house show from time to time.
Yeah, but he's home with his family 3 to 4 days a week.
Exactly.
Every week. He sees his baby. He sees his wife. Because Brie's not going to be on the whole thing. Brie and Nikki are not going to come back and work the entire year. They're just not going to.
Well, they Total Divas and Total Bellas will be filmed. It's that simple. That's what they're still there for. Because my daughter said, do they have contracts where they wrestle? I'm like, yes. Well, I don't see them all the time. Yeah, that's because they're also making them money doing Total Bellas and Total Divas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're making the money in other ways. And Daniel Bryan's
they don't
involved in
care.
that.
Yeah, they don't care what part of the product you are, as long as you're part of the product that's making money. They can hold you off
if you could draw,
television.
if you could draw a show with Nikki Bella making pudding pies and 1 million people billion people a week watched it, easy for me to say, WWE wouldn't care. They would go, you're going to make some pudding pies every week.
What? This concept of pudding pie sounds delicious, and this low carb diet probably is making it worse on me.
Yeah, but that's probably not helping.
What channel is the pudding pie?
I don't know. It just was what popped into my head. I'm really wanting something.
Pie factory.
Dude, I'm wanting something chocolate, and I'm wanting it now. So maybe that's where the pudding pie.
I don't even crave sweets, but the idea of Nikki making pudding and pies together.
It's basically a pie with pudding in it.
Like one of those no-bake things?
It's kind of like a French silk pie, kind of, sort of, but...
Oh. I like chess pie. Chess pie is really underrated.
Yeah. Anyway, but let's get back to food. I don't know, we got on the pudding pies and I completely lost my train of thought. And some people are going to message me, what's a pudding pie? I don't know. Let's just roll with it. Okay. So Daniel Bryan, like we said, signed his new deal. And it's, you know what, guys? It goes back to everything, and I could rehash it, and I could go right back into the stuff we were saying at the beginning of the show. If you want to hear me say it again, just start the show over and listen to it again, because all of that I think applies to right here. When
Daniel didn't do it for you.
No, he did it to take care of his family.
Okay, and if you were a fan of somebody, why wouldn't you want to see them succeed?
Yeah,
or want to see them do their best? Yeah, you're not going to see him jump off stuff and break his neck at some indie show in a bingo hall somewhere, or working shows.
And we like that
all across the country. That's the shows I go to. But he has the capacity to make millions of dollars, millions of guaranteed money, retirement money, working for a company that he'll probably work for the rest of his life.
Well, he's 37, I believe. So if he does the whole 5 years, he'll be 42. He's not done, but he's probably done.
No, he'll be an agent, or he'll be a talent scout or a trainer, or he'll always have a position somewhere in that company.
Yeah.
He's a good positive face. He's not getting caught with a bag of cocaine. Okay? Or he's not failing wellness tests. He's he's like a John Cena light, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, so
yeah,
anyway,
it's good for him.
Yeah. So don't beat up the like, oh, he should have left and he should have went to All In and he should have been in New Japan. He should have went. It comes back to all that we said, guys. Everybody
All In will probably not do as much money for the entire show as he makes on this contract.
Well,
when you look at everything,
Fight made $1 million. Remember, we were saying Fight made about $1 million on buys. The Gate made 450 something thousand. So that's about Fight, 1.5 to me. But and that's not counting costs or whatever. But I'm saying all the Gate was 450. So, well, there was cost involved. Blah blah blah.
And then WWE has their own network. They don't have to pay an outside source to watch it, or to broadcast it, or have somebody pay them. They've got their stuff out there. They can put their own stuff out there for free. He could get a show on on the network, one of those, what do you call them shows they do? I don't watch them because I think it's a little goofy where you ride around in cars or shit like that.
Ride Along is funny. You should watch one. I can recommend a couple that are funny.
I like Table for Three.
Yes, very good.
Okay. But like the goofy shows and stuff, it's just not for me. But I don't shit on them, but just because it's not for me, I mean, some people like pudding pies and some people like cake.
Cake.
Who knows? Yeah. Anyway. I'm down 24 pounds though, so I gotta keep on this thing. It's awesome.
Stay strong, man. Myron strong, man. That's how I'm gonna go
Myron
with that.
Strong. He's not real strong. But Myron got diabetes.
Hey,
and that scared the hell out of him.
We're going to completely go out of order. You brought up the network. I mean, did you see that they put a survey out this week?
You were telling me about
it. Yeah, they were asking about, it's not the first time they've asked about it. They asked about indie promotions, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, PWG, Lucha Underground, all about maybe airing them on the network. Also some new series. They had a couple of random ideas I'd have to show you. Some of them looked cool, some of them didn't. Nikki Bella making pudding pies was one of them. So, no, I'm just kidding. But just other stuff. There was a food one with Becky and Charlotte, by the way, which I'm going to talk about Becky in a second. about like Becky. It was called like Cheat Day or something like that, where even though they work out and have a strict diet, like what do they do on Cheat Day?
Oh wow!
You know, like so when they go to town, it's kind of like a Food Network, like Diners, Drive-In, and Dives or whatever with Guy Fieri.
Like Camilla was working on.
Yeah, Camilla King had a show like that. Yeah, her YouTube channel. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the concept of it, was something like that. I thought that would be kind of cool.
That's cool.
I can't lie. I mean, I do a Diners, a Triple D over on the Food Network. I kind of dig that kind of stuff.
I like the extreme food ones.
Yeah, you like the big food challenge. Like I want to eat an 18-foot pizza.
I just want to watch that fat guy get sweaty doing that shit.
The hot food challenge.
I don't want to do it. I just want to watch somebody else do it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I do want them to do is one of the other things on the survey, they asked about house shows airing on the network. Dude, I'm a fan. They were like no commentary, no story driven, just like house shows. If you've ever been to a live event, they just kind of like thrown together kind of thing. And
they do test matches and they work through kinks, and it's stuff that you'll see on your main show, 2 or 3 months down the road. They test people together to see how they work in front of a crowd together. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm not saying
it'd be great to see that stuff.
I wouldn't watch it every night, if they had them on there. But it would be cool, like every now and then, if I sat down on a Wednesday night and there was nothing on TV, it'd be like, oh hell, I'll see if there's if there was a house show on. Oh hell, it'd be something cool to watch.
Yeah, and I'm at the computer all the time doing stuff, and I don't have to pay total attention to a lot of it. I can have, say, a house show on the other screen to watch that, because that gives me a little. If I'm playing a video game, I have a house show on the background. Yeah. It's fun. I like the sounds of wrestling. I like the atmosphere. That's my thing. So yeah, I think that's a good solid plan. I can't commit to watching them all the times, but yeah, something else on TV to watch. I like that.
I'm right there with you. I tell you what else. I tell you something else. I'm like eager to see, and it's fun to watch. I was reading a thing, and Steve Austin was kind of commenting on the whole Becky Lynch Charlotte situation.
Yeah,
he's kind of right. I think down and deep inside, he was making the point that Charlotte's just a better heel. She just, for some reason, she always is.
It's genetic.
Probably. It probably is. But he brought up the point that Becky Lynch doesn't really need to be a face or heel. He thinks that she could possibly, not necessarily, when I say it this way, it's going to sound like out of, but like the next him. Just like the toughest SOB, like just
yeah.
The anti-hero, maybe.
She can do that legitimately, in my opinion. I think she could carry out that character, and she's a great character person that they've had doing, I'm not saying doing jobs, but they've had her doing exactly what they told her to, and she did it without question. And she went out there and she worked, and she did her job, and she has the flexibility to do more in-depth personal caring type stuff. So yeah, I like the idea.
I agree with you 100%. But I'll tell you what I'm not a fan of, and I don't like the idea of this whole week, man. We kind of touched on it last week. Everything's pointing that Shawn Michaels, Dave Meltzer saying Shawn Michaels is coming back. That, last week he was on Raw, and they had the whole, him and Taker had the face off, which we discussed last week. If you want to hear my whole take on that, go back to last week's show or just listen to it. It's in the archives on the podcast, Apple, iTunes, all that, Stitcher, Speaker, all that good stuff.
Anywhere
you find your podcast, we're there.
Somebody was asking me the other day, well, where's your podcast at? I'm like, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Nick has got this show anytime. There is not your phone, I bet smart TVs can get our podcast.
Believe it or not, I actually listen to our podcast on our Apple TV through the Apple Podcast app on our television in the living room.
See? You can everywhere you go. Everywhere you go.
Pretty simple.
It's like Dick Tracy level stuff, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, we're everywhere. But like I said, so now they're saying he's going to come back and be in a tag match with Triple H versus The Undertaker and blank. And the reason I put blank there, the rumors were Kane. Kane's probably not going to wrestle. He's a mayor now. But they're saying at the Saudi Arabia show in November, I believe it's the 2nd, if my memory serves me correct, that this match is going to happen. And I just don't want it to. And I know, and it's okay. It's not for me. Guess what it's for? Everybody's like, well, what's the reason he's coming back? I'll probably give you 40 million of them, and they got paid that for the first Saudi Arabia show.
Exactly.
You remember this? I don't know if you remember this. They wanted him to do, they wanted the big Japanese guy. They wanted Yokozuna for the first Saudi Arabia show. Didn't even know he was dead.
He's been dead quite some time.
So guess what? If they said, you know what, give us the dancing pretty boy, 40 million reasons why, WWE says, Shawn, get the chaps out. You're putting the ponytail back in and you're going back to
boy.
So I get it, trust me. And when it goes back to I'm against my own self, and I'm like, why? I don't want it to happen. I just turned into the college fan that we were joking about earlier. That I don't want Shawn to wrestle. I just don't want him to tarnish his image, and like Flair did. And here's the funny part: it ain't going to be near as bad as when Flair did it. Don't get me wrong. However, I just like the concept that Shawn Michaels was the one guy who lost a retirement match and stayed retired. I just thought that part was cool.
Yeah.
So if he comes back, it is what it is. And the only knock I had on it is everybody always chants one more match. We want him against AJ. We want him versus Ricochet. We want him versus this guy. We want him versus that guy. Okay. Unfortunately, guys, Shawn Michaels himself has said the hairline's what it is. The mobility is what it is. Could he get in there and give you a good match? I bet you could get in there and give you a match just as good or better than probably 70% of the roster. What do you think?
Yeah. I really, he's talented. He knows how to work. He knows how to do what he's supposed to do. Yeah, he can do a match. He can make people believe in it. He's from that era where we really, they did this. They went out there and gave you good matches and stories and everything. And I think he is capable. I mean, hell, I've seen him work with Ted DiBiase back in Mid-South. The guy's been around. He knows, he knows how to do this stuff. He knows wrestling. He'll give you a good match. Don't want to see it? No. I don't want to see The Undertaker back. Triple H, I can see back because Triple H is in phenomenal shape all the time. That's not hard. It's not like a reach to go out there and say Triple H can come back. It's a reach to say these guys can because they're not actively involved in the business 52 weeks a year.
Exactly. I mean, I'm totally going to break character here, and I'm going to totally break everything. Good night, Lewis. That'll only be funny to one person on the entire planet.
Good.
Okay, I'm going to move on. He'll get it. It'll make sense to him. And it'll totally give away time stamps into when we recorded this show to everybody, right? But it's kind of one of those, I just don't think that Shawn had basically said the matches against all these people that you want him to see, they wouldn't live up to the hype of the match.
He can't do it anymore.
Well, it's not that he can't go. It's just, it doesn't matter. People build things up in their heads so much that they're just disappointed. And that's what would happen. And on top of that, the other knock would be, they're like, oh, he'll make the next star. Well, I have a philosophy. First of all, where are the next stars made in the WWE? They're made in NXT.
Yeah.
How do you make them? It's something they're doing right now. Bless you. Luke Harper, September 6th, he worked a match down in NXT. Okay, Tyler Breeze has been working some matches down in NXT. We're talking about, you want to talk about developing the next level of stars? Is it time? I mean, is it time where, I'm not saying that NXT is officially the next brand, but it kind of is, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking off air, and I'll ask you the question, and again, Eric Rowan's hurt. You got nothing for Luke Harper. What's better to do with him than to send him down to NXT and let him start giving the rub to some of the guys?
Especially if you're going to leave him in the Bash, whatever.
The Bludgeons
brothers. Okay, you can't have it be a bludgeon guy going around. It ruins the gimmick. He's a singles wrestler, but you spend a lot of money buying big ass hammers. And you ruin that if you have him on the main show. But here's a guy who's a great talent, can go down and work on NXT and not hurt anything. He's not going to hurt his stuff up there because the people that watching NXT understand. I think it's great. and then when there's time to come back, he can come back, and he'll already have chemistry with the guys that are coming up in the future. Good decision. Good decision.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Tyler Breeze has done it. Luke Harper's done it. I mean, just from time, you know who could really benefit from it?
Who's that?
Ty Dillinger, R-Truth. Yes. I mean, you know, Bobby Roode. I know they're trying to do some new stuff with him, so maybe he was a bad example. But you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the guy.
I don't get that tag team with him and the little guy.
Mojo Rawley.
Yeah, Mojo would benefit for coming back.
Mojo Rawley's main event, like when I mean main eventing, I literally mean he's been on main event.
WWE main event.
Yeah, he's on the show that I don't even know where the show airs anymore.
I don't. Me neither.
You know, so it's a good opportunity to groom that next level. And, you know, Luke Harper wrestled Ricochet on that match. And by the way, how kudos to Ricochet for stating the obvious here. He basically said that moving to NXT was one of, you know, a lot of people talk about, oh, they don't need NXT. They don't, you know, they're better than that, whatever. Ricochet was one of the greatest indie wrestlers out there. Everybody talked about, he was the indie darling. There was nothing physically this guy couldn't do. You could say, do this, and he would do the move. How about he said, up until a year ago, character-wise, he says, not me, he said he was trash. And to be blunt, people loved Puma, the Prince Puma character at Lucha Underground, better than they liked Ricochet, because there was zero character development there.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you.
And guess what?
I mean, it's not something that happens all the time in indie wrestling.
No, it doesn't happen. We think about how many times we sit there and said, most indie wrestlers don't work on character at all, and it's not their fault, because you can't. Your typical indie show, you go into a town, you work a match, you look like a superstar, and then you're gone, and hopefully you might be back eventually. Yeah. Most promotions, kudos, and I will see, this is something we try to do from time to time, kudos to Southern Fried Championship Wrestling, because if there's one damn thing they do, is their stories can go from week to week to, well, you know, every 2 weeks they run a show, but so from show to show to show, they're building characters, they're building storylines, so it's not just, oh, these two great athletes are coming in and working a match. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why. You gotta care.
You got to see characters. You get to see character development. When you plug in, we'll just say, the two kids, Master and Machine together. Okay. You put those two together and they've not done this kind of work before, but you put them into a program with guys who are established, the guys who work storyline, and it gives them a chance to develop a kind of wrestling they've not done. It's great. It's a building block, and it brings people out. 380 people last week. That place is so damn loud, it's ridiculous. Passionate fans, and that's how you build passionate fans, and that's how you get people to show up for 400 people to an indie show every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, well, and it's like I said, he's happy to be in NXT because not only, you know, they're helping him focus on his character, and it's not just when he's on TV. It's even at house shows. How do you, you know, live events? How to make people care about you? Think about it. Chris Jericho himself has said on numerous times, it doesn't matter what happens in the match most of the time.
No.
You want them to care enough to buy the ticket, and you want them to be satisfied when they leave in some form or fashion.
You forget matches. You don't forget angles. You know? And I don't have any idea about the matches and I'd like to talk to Tom angle. But I sure as hell remember the angle. You know? It's just the way it works. People love good quality stories. And you have to build your character, and that's what he's doing. And he'll be a much better wrestler down the road for it.
I agree.
Yeah.
We
have put the WWE over hard this week.
And I'm, you know what? Hey, I'm going to come back. I'm going to put somebody else over real quick before we move too far along.
Uh-huh.
Honor Club, Ring of Honor, Honor Club, They're airing CMLL's 85th anniversary show this weekend, September 14th. So, I mean, that's just super cool. I'm happy about that. It's just more content to get out there. It's another way.
And it's coming from Mexico. It's like one of the big lucha shows that you might not be able to see anywhere else. That's great. I mean, that would be something I would consider subscribing for just out of curiosity. You know, just a curiosity of that, to see what a show like that looks like. Because those houses are packed and they're passionate. Yeah, I'd be interested in that. Yeah,
I'll tell you another place that's going to be packed. Let's go ahead, man. I've been itching for the show. It's like we're just a couple. we're not even 2 weeks away anymore.
Yeah.
September 22nd, Rome, Georgia, Superstars of Wrestling. Our buddy Frankie Paris is really, putting on a phenomenal event up there.
That man has done wonders putting this show together. Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, dude, he's bringing in some huge names. I mean, WWE Hall of Famers, guys that should be in the Hall of Fame. ECW, if they had a Hall of Fame, they would be in there.
Yeah.
But you're talking guys like Demolition, Mean Gene's going to be there.
Mean Gene.
Yeah, Double J's going to be there.
How cool is that?
Yeah. It's crazy the names that are coming in.
Demolition, Ronnie Garvin, Hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin. Or is it Hands of Steel?
Hands of Stone, of course, man. Come on.
He had Hands of some material.
I think.
Dr. Tom, man.
Dr. Tom's going to be there. Yep.
Daphne. James Storm of all. Did you see that hot James Storm?
I did. We shared that. We shared that this week. James Storm put up the big video plug, and he's going to be there as well. Those guys up there, they said that Superstars of Wrestling, September 22nd, Rome, Georgia. Where do they get the tickets again? It's
you can get the tickets at their forumrivercenter.com. Sorry, my eyes are not what they're used to, people. I can't read the
forumrivercenter.com. Check them out.
Forumrivercenter.com. Yeah. Or for more information, call 1-877-725-8899. Like them on Facebook at facebook.com/Superstars of Wrestling Fan Fest.
And you don't want to miss the show. That's for damn sure.
Think about it. Fan Fest starts at 1 and goes to 5. That's 4 hours to get to see all these people.
Dude, but you're going to need 4 hours to see all the names.
The Young Bucks.
That was going to be my punchline. Exactly.
All in. And then 7 o'clock they have the wrestling show. I'm pretty stoked about this, man. I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely check them out again. Superstars of Wrestling Fan Fest on Facebook. And of course, like you said, I mean, the list goes on and on and on, the names. Check out it on Facebook and see that poster. You're gonna just like, man, I gotta see this show.
I talked to Gary Lamb today, and he's gonna be doing the Booker T table.
Oh, sweet. So that's right. Yeah. Booker T, Hall of Famer Booker T's gonna be there. If you're in Georgia, Alabama, Rome, Georgia is not that far from Alabama. Tennessee is right there. You can make the trip down. I mean, just super close and convenient. So definitely head out, check out the show. You will not be disappointed. And, I can't put over Frankie and the job that they've done up there at Superstars of Wrestling Fan Fest. I'm psyched about the card. We secretly have seen some of the talent that's going to be on the card. That's their announcement to make, not ours, but I'm excited about the card as well.
Oh, I'm so stoked.
I'm planning, we all day long we'll be there, just hanging out and checking out all the stuff that's there.
Yeah, we're not going because we're like, part of the show or anything. We're going because we're fans. And that's great.
Yeah.
We're going to go to a show and it makes you happy as a fan. Love it.
Absolutely.
I love this kind of stuff.
Speaking of things that make you happy, before we get out of here, we also wanted to say, I can't say enough about Renee Young. Everybody's like, well, what does this mean? And I'll say this means we're getting to the point where her getting a full-time, she's the first full-time woman commentator for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully this means we're past the point that matters. And I know what I mean by that is not that I'm not saying in light of what she did.
No, we'll judge her on her value.
Correct.
Instead of her genitals. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, no, they have them.
I know. But I meant okay, we were on two different pages.
Pudding pies. pudding pies.
But I'm just saying that she's going to be, it's not whether she's a woman or she's a man.
Yeah. They're judging her worth.
Yeah, she's good enough. We talked about it. Truth be told, I wish she was the lead commentator on SmackDown. I think she's a,
like they take her and Corey and each one would have their own show. Like
Corey go to Raw, Corey just stay on Raw. She takes the lead commentator role, split the other two guys. Was it Phillips? And I can't ever remember the other guy's name. It doesn't matter. I think it's Phillips anyway. That's how bad commentary's gotten to this point for me on certain shows that I don't even focus on it.
I don't like background noise from me.
Right.
I don't know the voices apart.
But yeah, but for her, when she's driving the train on the pre-shows, I think that's what she's best at. So maybe her as the lead commentator on SmackDown, because Cole's not going anywhere. So let him be he'll drive the car over on SmackDown or on Raw. She'll be the one over, and just put Corey back on Raw. He's not on both shows. He just runs one show over there on that other one. So that's just my opinion. But kudos for her. She's earned her stripes. Anybody says otherwise, they've lost their minds. She's definitely earned her spot there, and congratulations to Renee Young for earning it over there on Raw. So that's all I got, brother. Believe it or not. Hopefully, I haven't pissed off everybody, and we still have people listening next week. But I didn't mean to.
Our fans are the smartest fans, and I don't mean smarky fans. Our fans are smart fans. They understand, and we call it as we like it. We call it as we see it. I think we're valued by people because we give you our opinion without busting it down and telling you that's the only opinion. So,
right. I've never said these people are idiots.
No.
We don't name call. We just sit there. Well, I said you're a football. I compared you to a college football fan, so I guess there could be worse, right? So, by the way, college football.
Yes.
We're in the heat of it. We're in the battle of it. So when college football comes, fantasy football comes, I didn't lose. I tied. It was like kissing it's like kissing a sister. I actually tied week 1 of fantasy football. I need to do a whole show about fantasy football. That's what I need to do. So that's a whole other take. But
I know there's a lot of guys that play.
We do a league. We've done it every year for the last few years. I've run a league for some people I used to work with, and then of course some friends outside of work. So we have 2 divisions. I jokingly say it's like people that I worked with at the old place, and then people that I knew outside of work that were friends. I put them in 2 separate divisions. So that's kind of how we build the league. So kind of funny, but, but anywho, man, that's all I got. Hey, you got nothing else?
I got too, man.
Well, what's the old saying go? If I got nothing and you got nothing, what time is it, man?
Time to tap out.